Welfare chief says government to use hospital records to identify high-risk families that need help. US, Iran, Pakistan and Qatar to start peace talks in Switzerland. And Volodymyr Zelensky says Belarus should remove Russian relay stations. Good evening. Welcome to TVB News. Secretary for Labour and Welfare Chris JUN says the government is looking to refine how it identifies vulnerable elderly households. He says authorities are exploring new parameters such as hospital records to include high-risk groups or carers in their 60s. Jackie Lin spoke with the welfare chief.
At Liking Estate on Friday, an 80-year-old woman was found dead alongside her 71-year-old husband who had taken his own life. The double tragedy has sparked questions on whether the government is doing enough to identify at-risk elderly households. Speaking on TVB News, Secretary for Labour and Welfare Chris JUN says the government has earlier introduced a care support data platform to improve cross-departmental coordination. JUN says authorities are now considering support expansion to more vulnerable groups under 80, including those suffering from chronic illnesses.
But we still see a lot of several more strategies in recent months. Are there more groups to be pinpointed as high-risk elderly so we can devote more resources?
We're starting with by cutting off those all elderly families over the age of 80 or above. So this is the starting point. But clearly, there's more we can do. As reviewed by the tragedy 2 days ago, there will be households, while their age is below the 80s, their needs for support could be high. One example we could think of is if one of the residents is suffering from chronic disease that requires a lot of care and attention, perhaps their risk could be as high as those over the age of 80. So we are exploring the possibility of, apart from age, we could introduce another parameter, including record from the hospital authority if they are suffering from a chronic disease, say for example dementia. So that will put a lot of strain on their carer. We should just also include them into our list of high-risk families and ask the care team to visit them as a matter of priority.
A decision on updated thresholds for intervention is expected as soon as possible. The government has recently unveiled the report on impact of targeted poverty alleviation strategy.
The report introduced a concept of social transfer value to quantify various social welfare policies. How do you think it's going to help with the measurement of effectiveness of poverty alleviation measures of Hong Kong?
The purpose is to provide a clearer picture to members of the public about the vast resources invested by the government in education, medical, social welfare, and also public housing. It's a clearer way for us to try to visualize the impact of government services.
When asked whether the government's push to regulate substandard subdivided units in public housing unit policies might mean less support for other tenants still living in poor conditions, JUN points to the expansion of community living rooms as a key relief measure.
What we're doing is trying to provide support from various fronts through the community living rooms. So we're providing extra extended space so that they can cook, they can wash their clothes, and their children could go there to study and learn from others.
He says more than 14 such facilities are already in operation, with at least 4 more poised to launch this year. Around 10,000 subdivided unit households are expected to benefit. Despite positive feedback, JUN has stopped short of confirming whether the scheme will be regularized to become a permanent service, at least for now. He says that's because the program is now funded by the Community Care Fund, noting authorities will continue to assess effectiveness through data analysis, including support from the business sector. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The ASEAN government is ironing out the details of its first 5-year plan. Former city leader and CPPCC Vice Chair Leung Chun-ying believes Hong Kong should focus on 4 major industries, including finance, tech and shipping. Jackie Lin again with the details.
As Hong Kong is rolling out its own 5-year plan, the government is launching public consultation on the inaugural development blueprint. Leung Chun-ying, vice chairman of the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, says Hong Kong must make trade-offs and choices. Speaking on a radio program, he believes the city should prioritize 4 industry pillars: finance, trade, technology, and shipping.
規劃呢，係一個好重要嘅前提。
He says a key premise of planning is that Hong Kong cannot do everything and needs priorities on what China as a country needs, what Hong Kong is good at, and what Hong Kong can do. Leung also notes the country's 5-year plan includes a call to accelerate building a financial powerhouse. Hong Kong is well positioned to take the lead in this. He cites the need to accelerate the development of Shanghai into an international financial center and notes that Hong Kong and Shanghai, both major international financial hubs, have a relationship worth studying. He notes it is not about competition, but about ways to divvy up their key roles. On AI development, Leung says in the past 1 to 2 years, technology has seen disruptive developments, and Hong Kong should plan early and respond wisely to seize opportunities while avoiding risks.
海上嘅航運服務業高端嘅。
He describes aviation, aerospace, and high-end shipping services, as well as their related finance, insurance, and legal services as areas well-suited to Hong Kong, noting that maritime businesses is a key industry to China. He says references too can be taken from the 5-year plans for Guangdong and Hainan, which both mention commercial aerospace-related industries, including satellite manufacturing and management. Jacqueline, TVB News.
Tehran announces a quadrilateral meeting between Iran, the US, Qatar and Pakistan is set to take place at the Bergenstock mountaintop resort in Switzerland Sunday afternoon as a follow-up to the US-Iran Memorandum of Understanding. A high-level Iranian delegation that includes Parliamentary Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived at the Swiss venue late on Saturday for direct talks to work out important details of their interim ceasefire deal signed with the US this week. Complicating the matters are the escalating Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon. Earlier, Iran's military closed the Strait of Hormuz again, citing the US's clear breach of its commitments. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esma Bagay says in an interview with the state-run IRIB TV that negotiations toward a final deal will start once key commitments are held. If not, the MOU as a whole will be jeopardized, says Bagay. The US Central Command, however, claims that traffic in the critical waterway continues to flow. US President Donald Trump has unleashed a new threat to impose American tolls in the strait if a final deal with Iran is not reached in 60 days. On Sunday morning, Vice President J.D. Vance lands in Obergun to join the presidential envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. Upon his departure, Vance frames the talks around immediate priorities, including Iran's nuclear program and stabilizing Lebanon.
Which headlines, things are actually getting better there. Things have calmed down a little bit. It's going to be something where it's going to happen in the advantage to ensure that Israel and Lebanon are both stable and secure. That's fundamentally the goal of this, is to make the region stable and secure.
Qatari mediators are in place for the technical level discussions to halt the Middle East war that started in late February. Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, along with Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir, also arrived at the Swiss venue where foreign ministers of Iran and Switzerland held a bilateral meeting. In the Lebanese idyllic city of Tyre, known for its iconic remains from Roman times, the historical Al-Baz necropolis was severely struck as it witnessed horrendous strikes from Israel. Officials say the reverberations affected the columns at the UNESCO World Heritage Site, adding that it will take time to use specialized equipment to viably assess and fix all the damage, as they have limited resources amid the ongoing war. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Russian forces are preparing an impending massive attack on Ukraine and warned residents to take special care as Russian strikes in different regions have killed at least 6 people. Tracy Furness has more.
President Zelensky said Saturday that Ukraine had reached agreements with its Western partners, including the United States, to increase pressure on Russia. He said that the United States and all partners in Europe in the group of 7 equally assess the situation and are ready to support Ukraine in the future. He also criticized Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko over relay equipment on the border with Ukraine that he claimed was being used to guide Russian drone attacks.
And still ahead, British public chose Brexit in 2016. How's the country 10 years later? Foreign domestic workers help push green messages. And a super dad who has spent 30 years as a carer. Welcome back. 10 years ago, the UK's seismic vote to break up with the European Union caused a rift across the country that forges political identities to this day and shattered a half-century project to get closer to the continent. Brexit, short for British exit, became a reality on June the 23rd, 2016, when more than 17 million people, or 52% of the total votes cast in the referendum, opted for leaving the bloc. It was a narrow margin that led to the most dramatic shake-up of the UK economy and society since World War II. Tracy Furness reports.
Now I want to speak directly to the British people to explain why. We are approaching one of the biggest decisions this country will face in our lifetimes, whether to remain in a reformed European Union or to leave. The choice goes to the heart of the kind of country we want to be and the future that we want for our children.
It has been 10 years since Britain left the European Union, and the battle was on in 2016. Brexit supporters tapped into deep frustration with the EU and argued that the United Kingdom would be better off unshackled from it and regaining an array of powers to be used solely for domestic priorities. Opponents warned that Brexit would lead to economic disruption and risked the country's standing in the world. Brexiters held out a vision that British economy post-Brexit could thrive by harnessing the buccaneering spirit that had once made it the world's biggest. Brexiters won with the then UKIP leader and Leave campaigner Nigel Farage lauding it was the right thing to do.
There are 17 million people that voted for Brexit. It's a victory for ordinary people, decent people. It's a victory against the big merchant banks, against the big businesses and against big politics. And I'm proud of everybody that had the courage, in the face of all the threats, everything they were told, they had the guts to stand up and do the right thing.
Several days later, protesters gathered outside the Houses of Parliament at a rally against the country's EU referendum result, holding up signs reading "Stay in" and "Unbreaks my heart." Though the COVID-19 pandemic and the wars in Ukraine and Iran haven't helped, the Brexit prosperous vision still hasn't become a reality. What came instead were difficulties involved in trading with European neighbours. Brexit put an end to free movement between the UK and EU and laborious customs paperwork and visa restrictions on goods entering the EU from the UK. Many of the trade deals that Brexiters touted, including one with the United States, have not materialised. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
A unique fashion show was held to raise environmental awareness among the city's foreign domestic helper community and their employers. Timothy Lee reports.
A panel of models, but no pageant here, as organizers of the gala are aiming to showcase couture of a greener kind. Taking a closer look at the outfits, the materials consist almost entirely of everyday items, from a crown made of packs of coffee powder to a dress constructed from fruit packages. Many of today's participants prepare their outfits for an entire month, taking part in an effort to increase environmental awareness. Ella, one of the event's participants, said her dress was made up of cleaning items at her employer's home, such as bleach containers and other items that contain toxic materials. She added that the chemicals held within the items are harmful to human skin, and urged the community to take care of their skin in order to help the planet. The event was jointly organized by the Caritas Asian Migrant Workers Social Service Project and the Environmental Protection Department. The venue also included stalls that introduced participants to recycling-related trivia. Some foreign domestic helpers took the opportunity to encourage their peers to unite in their efforts to protect the environment.
As a domestic helper, it's my responsibility, not in my employer's home, but it's on the whole world. I also share to my friends. We recycle. If we go for hiking, we pick up some plastics. You will be proud of yourself. for me, instantly. I feel like, oh, a superhero because I'm saving the world.
Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Today is Father's Day. Scores of families around Hong Kong have opted to dine out at restaurants to celebrate the occasion. Despite that, the catering sector reported the rate of reservations and business forecast both dropped by around 40% and 30% year-on-year, respectively. Timothy Lee tells us more.
A sea of families enjoying traditional Chinese meals at this Mongkok restaurant. One family even had to reserve 2 tables in order to fit more than 20 of its members. Mr. Tang said it's family tradition to organize such a big gathering during Father's Day. When asked if his children prepared any gifts for him, he simply said he's already glad they're not asking for any money today. Just a few tables away, a family consisting of 4 generations took the gathering as an opportunity to further strengthen their bond. Mr. Yip said he received a red pocket from his daughter, calling it a touching gesture. While this man said he's already satisfied with the chance to spend time with all of his family. This, as the manager of the restaurant noted a major drop in the rate of reservations and business over the course of the Dragon Boat Festival long weekend, with the former declining by 40% and the latter by 30% year-on-year, respectively. The manager stressed a combination of manpower shortage and the popular trend of northbound consumption has had a major impact on the catering sector. He emphasized the restaurant will continue to maintain its food quality and reputation in hopes of preserving the trend of family gatherings in the city's Chinese restaurants. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
This Father's Day, we meet a super dad who spent the past 3 decades holding his family together. Jackie Lin has the story.
Over the past 30 years, Tony, now in his 70s, has been taking care of his wife who became disabled after a brain aneurysm rupture. At the time, their 3 daughters were still young, and Tony had no choice but to step up, juggling family duties and multiple jobs throughout the day. Tony says he chose to work in the insurance sector as the working hours were more flexible. He also taught swimming and kayaking. Years of being both a breadwinner and caregiver have taken a toll on his health. He is now waiting for spinal surgery due to a displaced spine. He says he likely has at most 3 years of mobility left, and after that he might not be able to walk, so he hopes he can use this time to do the things he still wants to do, including traveling to Japan with his daughters in July. And the family continues to hold on to optimism. Tony is now able to spend short time away from his wife as her condition has improved significantly at the rehab center. Tony says during his hospital stay, his wife was even able to go out shopping with a domestic helper on her own. Care staff say Tony's situation reflects the wider struggles of many family caregivers, noting that as some fathers share similar struggles, they can try to find resonance with each other and seek support at centers as such. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The world's pinnacle, Mount Everest, or Zhumwulanmafeng, is the ultimate dream for mountaineers and a site that many ordinary travelers wish to visit. At the Everest Base Camp in Tingri County, Xizang, also known as Tibet, tourists cope with the challenges of high altitude to admire the view. Samantha Lowe tells us more from the Everest Base Camp in Xizang.
Located on the border between Tibet and Nepal, the Earth's highest peak, Mount Everest, stands over 8,800 meters above sea level and has long attracted many mountaineering enthusiasts who risk their lives trying to conquer it. However, for those who do not want to take such risks, the Everest Base Camp in Tingri County, Xizang, still allows them to experience the awe of Everest. The base camp is at an altitude of over 5,200 meters, and tourists will experience varying degrees of altitude sickness. Doctors usually recommend to reduce the frequency of showering, take medication, and, like this lady, carry portable oxygen bottles. But as Tibetans often say, the altitude is high, but the spirit is higher. The breathtaking scenery in front of them becomes the greatest motivation to overcome altitude sickness. This tourist and her family are from Shandong, but they first visited Lhasa City, which stands at over 3,000 meters, before coming to the base camp. This approach helped her body gradually acclimatize. She describes the scene as a painting, saying that such beautiful scenery cannot be captured in photos. The day before, they saw the golden sunrise on the snow-capped peak, which she found moving. This tourist from Guangxi says he has always wanted to challenge himself and see how high he can reach. He adds that among his friends, very few have been able to come here. In recent years, there has been growing concern about the ecological environment around Everest. The base camp operators say they have established procedures for handling waste. This operator explains that the garbage generated here at the base camp is compressed on site, and a garbage transfer truck comes every day to collect the compressed waste, which is then transported to the county town for disposal.
Mount Everest also has a base camp in the Nepal side, which is a starting point for many professional climbers. It has an altitude of over 5,300 meters, which is slightly higher than the base camp here in Xizang. Samantha Low, TVB News, Xizang.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.